Hello, my friends. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, how's it going? Welcome to the live stream. It's nice to have you all here. Can everyone see me? Can everyone hear me? Am I coming out of the right microphone? You know how paranoid I am about the tech on these things. Oh my gosh. I'm always doing my best for you, but hello. Hello, welcome. Hi, I can see the chat. Sakaki-san says Kasuga, I know what that means now. I know that's a reference to Azumanga Daioh. I know. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, Grace Summer Day. Hello, John Blakemore. I am visible and hearable. Yes, good, excellent. My first philosophy live stream. So cool, says Linny Pindaspin. Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. Well, hey. It's nice to be here on the live stream. Yeah, double welcome to you if it's your first time catching one of these. What we like to do on these live streams is we like to talk about the previous episode of Philosophy Tube and how I made it and what the comments were and what the feedback was. There's kind of a structure to these live streams. So we'll do all that this time. We're also going to talk a little bit about House of the Dragon Season 3, because I'm now finally allowed to say that I'm in that. You may have seen some pictures of me walking the red carpet the other night at the launch of HBO Max in the UK and Ireland, which is very exciting. So we can talk a little bit about that if you want. And then I'm also going to tell you what's coming next, because Philosophy Tube, I've got some, not really an announcement, because it's like, I'm not going to put it out on all my socials, but like to you guys who like really follow the inner workings of the channel and really care about it, I'll tell you what's coming next on the show. Because the previous episode, the conversion therapy one, was like a big one. And I'm going to tell you what's going to happen after that. So, just a few ground rules for the live stream, the same ones we always have. We like to keep the chat a very nice and chill place. If people super chat me questions, I always do my best to answer those. If you want to super chat me a question, probably best to keep it short and sweet, because the chat does tend to fly past and I don't want to miss it. And the other thing we like to do is we always like to start these streams by lighting a candle. And this candle, as is tradition, was a gift from my manager. So I'll go ahead and light that one. It's wildflower scented. So here we go. I'm blonde now as well. I'm a shade blonder. I've been slowly going blonde over the last 4 months, and so now I am blonder. I could go blonder still if I wanted to, but oh, I can see candles in chat. Yay! Yeah. Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome. Is House of the Dragon Season 3 the big action project you've been talking about? Yes. Yes, it is. Yeah. So, living vicariously because my dorm room doesn't allow candles, says Grey Summerday. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Is it for a role or because you felt like going blonde? I just kind of felt like it. I just felt like a change. You know? Yeah. So, let's talk about the previous episode of the show, which you should be able to see now on your screens. It's this one. The title that won in the end, you know, I always do my like ABC test. I test multiple titles and thumbnails, and the one that won was Britain Still Has Conversion Therapists. Here's why. The one I did with the live chicken. It's our biggest episode ever. Both in terms of length, it's 2 hours and 10 minutes. And also, in terms of the cost, it's the most expensive episode we've ever done. It was kind of like 2 episodes worth of budget smashed into one. It was a very, very big project. And has definitely lost money, which is fine. I didn't make it for that. In fact, long-term viewers of the show will know that I have 3 criteria when I make an episode of Philosophy Tube, right? These are the criteria with which I judge my own work. So I try not to look at views and external stuff like that. So these are my 3 criteria. The first one is, was it made from curiosity, not ambition? And yes, I think this one definitely was. Well, maybe there was a little bit of ambition there in that I wanted to kind of plant the flag and make the definitive video on this subject. And I think we achieved that. But in terms of, curiosity, I was following the curiosity. I mean, originally this episode was going to be a follow-up to just like a straight sequel to my one on healthcare from a few years ago, the one about emailing my doctor 133 times. It was just going to be like a part 2. But then the more I researched, the more I realized we needed to talk about conversion practices as part of that. And the more I researched conversion practices, the bigger that part of the script became, until eventually that just kind of like swallowed the whole thing. And it became, what you saw now. And so, yes, I followed my curiosity on that. So good, check. The second criteria, is it my unique creative vision? And yes, I think it definitely is. Are there many other YouTubers who will have like a live chicken? Are there many other YouTubers who will have a dress made of old medical reports and government documents? No, I don't think there are. So is it my unique creative vision? Yes, definitely. And I followed my creative vision too. Even when it was like, my creative vision was telling me like, this video is going to be 2 hours long. I was like, okay, follow the creative vision, let's do it. So yes, giving myself a tick on that one. And the last one is it made out of compassion for myself and others? This one, I think, compassion for others, definitely. In many ways, that was one of the criticisms people had of it, which we'll get to later, is it was very compassionate, even to some of the people I mentioned in the video. Was it compassionate to myself? Yes, in some ways. I mean, when I talk about compassion, that means, was the process of making it like humane? Was it good for me to make it? Was I being kind to myself? And also things like, did the crew, and in this case, the animals on set, have good conditions? Were they properly paid and everything? I can give myself a tick on that. I hope the crew don't think I'm speaking over them, but everyone seemed to have a fun time and was well paid. In terms of the animals, we had 2 animal handlers on set to look after Hetty the chicken at all times, to make sure she was fed and happy and watered. And so, yes, I think it's definitely made out of compassion for others. It was obviously very difficult to research the project, and, it's hard looking at all of that stuff. It's upsetting and it's infuriating for me to go through all those documents, particularly the NHS stuff, because it's, it's just very horrible. As I say in the video, like, as a human being, I have a strong emotional reaction when I see other people needlessly suffering, and so it is hard to research it, but it was a labor of love, and it was, I think, worth it. My goal with this video wasn't necessarily to do big numbers or make a big splash. This one is targeted at kind of policymakers, really. So I mentioned at the very end, we have viewers in the UN and in the EU, and I know I have viewers in the NHS, some of whom have emailed me off the back of this. And I know I have viewers who go out and inform political parties as well. And so this one was very much aimed at, if you like, a kind of discourse and policy intervention. The other thing it was aimed at doing is pushing the envelope on what can be said publicly about some of the groups that I mentioned. As you may know, Britain is not a country that has the First Amendment, as America does. You have to be a lot more careful in this country about what you can say. And as a result, people do tend to be quite cautious, in particular about discussing some of the groups we mentioned who promote conversion practices. And so I mentioned in the end of the video, I worked with a defamation lawyer on this script to double check that, as far as we're aware, everything is legal and protected speech and protected opinion. And so I hope that if people can see me describing these groups as I do in some cases, groups that promote conversion practices, I hope that we can start to shift public opinion against them. So there was kind of a political goal on this one, kind of a not stealth, but like, not stealth in the sense of being hidden. I'm sure you could have guessed, but there was a kind of like, I was attempting to intervene in the public discourse and do something that I thought was in the public interest was part of my goal with this one. And time will tell whether that was effective, but it was certainly satisfying to attempt. So I think I'm very happy with this video. I think it's a good one. I think it's one of the best we've made in a long time, and I think it's kind of like, I think this is, as we'll talk a little bit more later on, I think this is kind of like Philosophy Tube Season 3 at its best. Like the healthcare video, I think this is making something artistic and educational that also does good. I think that's definitely worth pursuing. So, yeah. Didn't know Philosophy Tube streams, says JJ Brahams. What a pleasant surprise. Yeah, we always do one of these post-mortem live streams after every episode. I always go over them and explain how they were made and take questions from the chat about how they're made and go over some of the comments as well. I've saved some of the comments from underneath this video and I'll show them later on in a bit. Has there been anything positively actionable or pushed to change conversion practices as a result of your video? Asks Sean Heaney in the chat. Well, it's only been out a week, so it's a little bit early. However, some anti-conversion practices campaigns, in particular, I think End Conversion Therapy Scotland recommended it, which is lovely. I have also received emails from people saying that they've either read it or that it's on their kind of to-watch list. So that's very exciting as well. I don't think it's going to make any immediate short-term changes, particularly not to the NHS. But I think it will hopefully bring pressure to bear in the medium and the long term as well. And, in the long term, serve as a reminder that we did know this was happening at the time. We knew and we said it. And hundreds of thousands of people knew about it. So, yeah, gets it all on the record, and hopefully that does some good. Drew Design says, I think it's one of your best in a long time. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. So, what else do I have? Yeah, so, I mentioned that I worked with a lawyer on this video, and so I wrote the first draft of the script, and then I sent that out to fact checkers. I hired some wonderful fact checkers and subject matter experts in biology and sociology and journalism as well. If any of you have heard of a writer called Julia Serrano? Whoa! Sorry, I got an echo from another tab of my own voice and was like, ah. If any of you know a writer called Julia Serrano, she wrote a very famous book called Whipping Girl. I actually hired her to be a fact checker on part of the script for this one, so that was great. I was quite honoured, actually, because I was a little bit starstruck that she agreed to say yes. And so, first draft I sent out to fact checkers and so on, and then they helped me revise that into the second draft very helpfully. The second draft went to a defamation lawyer, and it did change quite substantially between the second draft and the version that you saw, final version. And in a way, in some ways that was frustrating, because there were things that I wanted to say. There were a couple of sections of the script that had to be cut, actually. And in a way that was frustrating, because there were times when I was like, really? Really? You can't say that? We all know that's true. But actually, I knew that it would be a challenge working with him, and it actually sharpened my thinking and my writing in a lot of ways, because there were quite a few moments where the notes that he would give on the draft script would be like, I agree that this is probably the case, but can you prove it? Can you prove this, Abigail? Like, what is your evidence for this? Why do you believe this to be the case? And there are a few moments, key moments, where I was like, you know what? I can't prove that. And maybe I'm not right when I say that. And maybe I need to temper what I say and say, I think this might be the case, or in my opinion, this is plausible, or this undermines my confidence, rather than saying, this is what these people intended to do. Like with the cast review as well, I don't... There were moments where I talk about some of the people who were involved in shaping the cast review, and I say... I make it very explicit, like, I'm not accusing them of any wrongdoing. I'm not accusing them of fraud or messing with the results or anything like that. And that came from my lawyer, being like, well, can you prove this? And I had to be like, you know what, I can't. I might be wrong here. And so I do need to be very careful and say, okay, what is it precisely that I can prove and that I believe in that I'm trying to say? And so it actually sharpened my thinking and my writing in a lot of ways. So I'm glad I worked with him. He was very, very kindly, he worked pro bono, which was wonderful because the episode was already way over budget by the time we got him involved. The Good Law Project, Jolien Mortem from the Good Law Project, referred me to the lawyer who ended up doing the legal check on it. And he was fantastic, actually. So I was very grateful to the Good Law Project for putting us in touch, and to Jolien in particular, who is a sweetheart. So yeah. You might have had to cut things, but I think what you ended up with was refined because of it, says Stewie. Yes, I agree that. I agree with that, yes. It was good. This video was the most important insertion into the poisonous UK trans debate in such a long time. Thank you, Abigail, says Clara Ross. Thank you, that's really kind of you to say. I mean, the bar is quite low, isn't it? What people call the trans debate is often just cis people lying to each other about us. So I think anytime a trans person actually says anything, it's like, what are you talking about? That's like, you know, like a trans person could get up on the mic and just be like, and that would be a more valuable contribution than half of what's in the Telegraph. But thank you, I appreciate that anyway. Yeah, very, very cool. How common is it that you have to cut things for legal purposes, says TDCB. This is the first time I've worked with a lawyer on the script. I knew that some of the people I was talking about are litigious and are well-funded. You know, touch wood. I haven't received any letters or anything so far. I think probably the length puts people off. And I genuinely did do my best to consider other points of view and be balanced where I could, and to highlight what is my opinion and what I could prove, and also to give people right of reply as well. They didn't take me up on it, but there you go. So yeah. It was it was hard to work with a lawyer, but I think it was ultimately very rewarding. It was actually... Oh, thank you so much, says Martin P3169. Thank you for that super chat. It says, why did you choose to do the footnotes? It was quite different from your usual video structure. Yeah, so as I was going along writing the script, I realized there were a bunch of moments where I needed to kind of put a parenthetical and say, here's an extra thing that's relevant here and some sources to signpost you towards that. And I found there were so many of those moments that it was disrupting the flow of the script. And I just felt that people would get a bit sort of overwhelmed if I didn't find some way to signal that those were, you know, put to the side. And so I came up with this. I was like, I wish I could have like footnotes in a video essay. And then I was like, what would that look like? You know, I'd be like going down, and I was like, oh, I'd go down to a place that's full of shoes, as if we're like, and then put a line above my head as if we are like literally in the footnotes of an essay. And that's where that idea came from. So you will notice, you will, if I, wait, no, I'm in the wrong window here. Hang on a sec. So you will notice that when we go down to the footnotes, let me find one here. You will notice that there are lots of shoes all over the place because we're in the footnotes of the essay. And you'll also notice that the desk above my head forms a line as if we are like in the footer of a page. So that's why we did it that way. I thought it would help people process the information and understand the pacing, and also be able to prioritize kind of what's the really important, what's the core narrative, and what's the kind of like here's the extra stuff, you know. So yeah. How best can we donate to your work, Abigail, says Clara Ross? Well, you can always sign up to the Patreon. That's always very, very welcome. Or you can also get Nebula. Getting Nebula using my link specifically really, really helps. People often ask what's better for supporting you, Patreon or Nebula. There's not really a clear answer to that at the moment. I know Nebula would like me to say it's Nebula, and in many ways it is. Nebula is the only sponsor of my videos I ever accept, and so every time I finish a video I say, hey, go sign up and get Nebula, and Nebula gives me some money for doing that. The more people sign up for Nebula, the more money that is. The flip side of that is that I only get paid by Nebula when I make a video, and because my videos take several months to make, you see how that kind of balances out. So whereas Patreon is monthly, and that kind of pays my regular bills. So it's up to you, really. However you feel. If you want to make a one-time donation, I used to have a PayPal for doing that, but PayPal messed me about, so I shut it down. If you want to make a one-time donation, the easiest way would be to sign up to the Patreon and then set a limit or cancel it. You can join like yearly, you know. But getting Nebula using my link specifically, that's in the descriptions of all the videos, is very, very helpful. Patreon's also helpful if you want to help with more like day-to-day expenses. yeah, in particular, as I'm going through the research periods, which are often very, very long and difficult. So yeah. Does Nebula track which videos people watch or give you a bigger piece of the pie if more people watch it? Yeah, I think we do get payouts based on watch time. I think so. But the kind of main one for me is sponsorships of videos. Yeah. And I don't accept sponsorships from anyone else. I probably could make a lot more money if I was like, hey, here's a mobile game I'm gonna tell you that I've been playing even though I haven't. Or like, hey, you want to get a new mattress? Or like, do you want to sign up for an online therapy company that's actually just a data harvesting scam? Not naming any names. I could probably make a lot more money if I accepted sponsorships from literally anyone else. But I've resisted doing that. For now at least, Nebula is the only sponsorship I will take because I'm one of the co-owners of Nebula and because I know them and I can actually vouch for you and tell you that it is good and worth doing. And so, yeah, I'm not gonna like sell my integrity by telling you to fucking get some addictive mobile game or like vapes or monthly snack boxes or that other bullshit. So, yeah. Chaikano asks, did conversion practices in relation to asexual folks come up in your research? I have a note about that. We will get to that. Thank you. We will get to that later on. It's on my note of things to talk about. Thank you to Hey Non-Anonymous for that super chat as well. Watching your video as a trans guy made me grateful for the work of my community's activists. Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad. Morgan LaFay-Chan says, have you heard the updates regarding the Trump regime's treatment of trans inmates? I can guess. I imagine it's pretty much on a par with the way we do things in this country too. Do you get a lot of sponsorship approaches? Asks Seal626. Yes, almost every day. I have almost every day. I will wake up to like 3 or 4 or 5 emails in my inbox like, hey, open square brackets, philosophy tube, close square brackets. I've definitely seen and enjoyed your videos on subject here. Would you like amount of money to promote my bullshit product, usually involving AI, to your audience? We make a product, and I'm just like, bleh. So I have an out of office, like an auto reply on my business inbox. It's just like, all unsolicited emails from brands will be deleted. I absolutely will not accept unsolicited sponsorships. And also because I have an exclusivity deal with Nebula such that because I'm a Nebula creator, if you're a company and you want to sponsor Philosophy Tube, you have to go through Nebula first. You have to approach them and Nebula will arrange it. So there are other Nebula creators who will accept sponsorships from other companies, but those companies have always been vetted by Nebula, and by the Nebula community, by the people who are on there, by us, the owners. And so it just kind of, it's a good thing to do really, because it stops Nebula creators being associated with anything that's kind of obviously dodgy or doesn't pass the sniff test. So yeah. Yeah, so I get unsolicited offers from brands trying to sponsor me all the time, and I just no, I don't accept it. And even if I were inclined to, they'd have to go through Nebula anyway. Thank you for that super chat, Captain Stink. Stay awesome. Yeah. I tell you what, the other, in addition to the lawyer, the other person I worked with, I say no, not person, but the other novel element in Philosophy Tube production that I worked with was a live chicken. Hetty the chicken, who I was absolutely blown away by. So I blocked this studio that you see us filming in here. I blocked out 2 days to film in that studio. Thinking that we'd need 2 days because Hetty the chicken would be running around all over the place. Best behaved chicken I've ever met in my life. I hired her from a special agency for animal actors, and as I say, she came with 2 handlers to make sure she was happy. She was so well behaved that we got through all of her shots in less than a day. And as a consequence, all the stuff you see with me in this outfit, all of it was filmed in a day because Hetty the chicken was so well behaved. And sometimes, most of her shots, we got in 1 take. Because she's just like, yep, you put her down, she just stays there. She was so well behaved. I pet her once, very, very lightly. when she was done, so that she, wouldn't. I didn't, really stress out an animal like when they were working on set with them. She was very, very good, so well behaved and very lovely. So yeah. Shin on Shin says, thank you for your super chat. Says, I was in the thrall of the post 4chan political sphere of the mid to late 2010s. Came out as trans 2 years ago, and your videos were so valuable in changing me for the better. I'm glad I was wrong. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me, actually. I have... Oh, wow, that really does mean a lot to me. I've never been on 4chan. Literally, like, never. I'm being honest with you, though. I've never been on it. I've seen other people go on it, and I've seen what that can do to them. I assume they all have very normal opinions about me on there, but I stay away from it. And I've seen how it can hurt some of the people who are on it, and so I'm glad that you're in a better place. Thank you for that, and that means a lot to me as someone who's watched people I've cared about suffer as a result of that. Thank you. I'm glad I could help. Did you super chat me? I think you super chatted me twice. I think you did. Yeah. She was so well behaved for a woman. I wondered if she was a CGI chicken. No, she was lovely. She's a very real chicken. Yeah. Fantastic chicken. I kind of expressed from the Finnish perspective how valuable it was to have some of the stuff on Ritaketu Kaltiala covered. I'm glad I could help with that. Yeah, I felt that was definitely worth mentioning. It was building on the research of, in particular, Finnish journalists. But I'm glad that we found a place to mention that. Yeah, very, very professional chicken. Was the paper dress comfortable? Yeah, actually it was. It tied at the back, and so it was kind of awkward to get around because the train is so long, right? But no, it was pretty comfortable. Yeah. Heck yeah. That's a good segue into talking about the aesthetic of the video, actually. So yeah, as you can see, it's a happy coincidence that the dress is quite chickenish. It kind of looks a little bit like chicken wings, which we didn't mean it to, but it just did. So the dress was commissioned by my stylist Brian Conway, and it was made by another Brian De Carvalho. Very quickly, actually, we went through a few stylists as the deadline was approaching, and everyone was very, very busy. And so Brian De Carvalho stepped in at pretty much the last possible second and made this incredible dress out of old medical reports and government documents. And like I said at the end of the video, the idea was that Britain has produced so much paperwork on this issue and it's all been useless, so we turned it into a fabulous dress. It's like, okay, the cast report isn't worth the paper it's written on, so we've made it into fashion, right? And similarly, the makeup look that Nikki created, the grey lips, it makes it look like I've been eating ink. And the spiky hair, let me see if I can find you a close-up of that so you can see it a little bit better. But it's like it's almost as if the paper records, the historical records of what's been done have come to life, and this story is wanting to be told, because so much of it was trawling through history and historical medical records and things that have been forgotten, people that have been forgotten. And I wanted to make it that, like, almost like Banquo's ghost, like this, the records of what has been done almost rise from the dead and demand to be heard. You can see the red thread connecting the dress there, which is kind of the red thread of a conspiracy board, but also a red thread of blood and of death. And so that's where that came from. And I was really struck by, I mentioned at the end in one of the final sections that there are kids in Brighton now who may be forcibly detransitioned, and I read an interview with one of their parents who said something that really struck with me. She said, the NHS only deals with this topic on paper, but real people aren't made of paper. And I thought that's such a beautiful encapsulation of the particular way in which the NHS dehumanizes us and harms and kills us, the particular way in which the NHS is violent is often through paper. And I have met so many people in the NHS who when I explain these issues to them, will talk as if paper is the only real thing in the world. They'll say, well, the policy says this. And in fact, I'm struck by the fact that I was once confronted with a doctor who refused to help me because of the way I was born. He refused to, even though it was completely... He had no authority to do that. It was against the rules for him to refuse me, but he did. And until I printed out on physical paper a copy of the rules and highlighted the relevant section and showed it to them and said, here it is. Here is the paper. Here are the rules. Like, the human woman in front of him was not enough. And the words coming out of my mouth were not enough. You know, my blood and my skin and my body was not enough. It wasn't until I gave him paper that he agreed to follow the paper. And so I wanted to create a look that summed up that kind of dehumanization, the ways in which I have been so dehumanized personally and so degraded by paper, and the ways in which, you know, the coroner's reports. It was very important for me that the moment with the coroner's reports not be flashing them up on a screen, but a physical folder with a paper coroner's report inside. And that the whole thing be filmed in a room full of books, a room full of paper. As if all this stuff that has happened has come to life and demanded that it be looked at. And so that was the brief that I gave Brian, the stylist, for the dress, and he took that to Brian De Carvalho, and they created this phenomenal look. And then Nikki came in with her hair and her makeup skills, the pointy hair, like folded pages. You can almost see, like, it's like a book has opened on my head. You almost have like pages on my head. She did a beautiful job with everything. It was just fantastic. So yeah. That was one look anyway. And then the other look was... let me find it for you. I can go back a little further and give you a better view. This one. I actually styled this one myself. We called this one in the show notes, we called it Rebel Chic. Oh, I think someone's just super chatted me. Thank you so much to Lava Dome UK. Paper ruling things is a great point. Getting the endorsement letter, getting the documents for GRC, a deed poll. We're always at the whim of paper. Yeah, you're so right. You get exactly. We're on the same wavelength, yeah. God, I remember having to gather so many pieces of paper just to, like, get permission to transition. It's a nightmare, so yeah. The other look, as I was saying, is this one. We called this one Rebel Chic. I styled this one myself. These are actually just my clothes. I just own these clothes myself. That's just what's in my wardrobe. And so I wanted something that was kind of like tough, a little bit rebellious, and I wanted the paper. It was almost like paper had exploded all around me, and the only thing that's left is I wanted something that wasn't necessarily not something feminine, but not masculine mask at the same time, but like kind of butch, tough. I wanted something tough, and Nikki really brought that with the very striking eyes as well. The tank top that says existing shouldn't be revolutionary, that was a gift from Vivian Wilson, daughter of someone we won't mention, but also that's not important because wonderful person, kind sweetheart, and excellent model and friend in her own right. She designed that t-shirt that said existing shouldn't be revolutionary. I think it was a very limited run collab that she did with a designer last year. And she sent me that t-shirt as a gift, and I cut off the sleeves and made it into a tank top. Let me find you a better angle of that so that you can see it. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, so I cut the sleeves and the neck out to make it into a muscle top. You can also see the vambrace there. I've got one vambrace. Here it is. Here's that. And let me also find you a better wide so you can see that I have something tied around my waist. So you can see, let me find a better angle. This would be, oh yeah, there it is. You can see here that I've got something tied around my waist. That is the same hoodie that I wore when I was the crocodile in the episode we did on death. I just kept that hoodie and I tied it around my waist just because it's like, it's kind of cool. It's kind of a cool look. And also, like, the one vambrace and the cool thing around the waist is a little bit of a visual reference to Absolute Wonder Woman, which I've been reading, which I'm a huge fan of. So there's a little bit of like Wonder Woman energy, like rebel energy in there as well. So that's why that is. And like big combat boots as well. And the Nebula necklace, of course. I was wearing the Nebula necklace. Is that the same vambrace you were wearing on the red carpet the other day? Yes, it was. I have 2 of them. They're made of steel. They're made of real steel. Yeah, I got those just for myself, just to like wear around London, just to be sick and cool. And then I realized they'd be great in the show and like just really cool. Yeah. How much of the wardrobe do you keep? Asks Funny Monkey. It really depends on the video. Sometimes we give it back. Sometimes if it's a custom look, I pretty much have to keep it. Because like the big dress made of paper records, I can't go anywhere. Like I just have that now under my bed. Maybe I'll reuse it at some point. That'd be cool. So yeah. And all of this stuff that you're seeing right now, these are just my clothes. I have all of those. That's just mine. That's my leather jacket. I just like that. I just have those, you know. Normalize casually wearing steel armor. Yeah, like I think armor's in, you know. Didn't Zendaya go to the Met Gala in armor? Chapel Roan did the Roan of Arc look. I like armor. It's cool. I like wore armor on the red carpet 2 nights ago. Maybe wear armor on another red carpet, says Steel 626. Yeah, maybe. That'd be crazy. That'd be crazy if I had a big red carpet coming up this summer and I'd already started chatting with Brian, the stylist, about how to you know, what kind of a look we want to do for that red carpet. That'd be crazy. Wait and see, my friends. Wait and see. Certified Omelette asks, have you considered doing Zach Polanski's podcast to talk about trans healthcare? The website has a contact form for collabs. That'd be cool. I didn't know that you could like just suggest yourself. I'd like to do that. I've talked to Zach before. Back when he was deputy leader, or deputy co-leader, I actually I briefed him and his co-leaders on trans healthcare, and I helped shape what is currently the Green Party's policy platform on trans healthcare, I'm proud to say. On a non-partisan basis, I offered to brief all UK political parties. I have a standing offer to brief any political party who want to learn about the trans health crisis. I am happy to go in and talk to them, and I give them the same script. The Greens were the first and at the moment only party to take me up on that. But I have a standing offer to kind of non-judgmentally and on a non-partisan basis brief any politician in the UK who wants to know. And so I have actually spoken to Zach, and he was very lovely and asked good questions. So yeah. I could be tempted. It's not really in line with the publicity campaign that I'm about to begin. We'll talk more about that a little bit later on. But yeah, you know, I have if he wants to chat, yeah. Alice Elk Clark says, hi, 4 years ago on the transhumanism postmortem, we wished me luck coming out to my parents. I just turned 19 and I'm one parent, poorer. I'm sorry to hear that. I don't know whether you mean by bereavement or by, you know, taking some time away, as it were. But I doubt that it was easy in either case, and I'm sorry about that. Sorry to hear that. So now, let's talk about the numbers. How did this video do on the numbers? Let me check. Let me check on my YouTube account here. Live Abigail Thorne reaction. Where am I going? I'm going content. I'm going. No. Oh, dashboard. That's what I'm doing. Okay, so the video's been out a week. It's coming in at 6 out of 10 out of my last 10 videos. This one's performing at number 6. 381,000 views. Click-through rate is good. Average view duration is up, so that's nice to know. There was a clear winner on the thumbnail. That's interesting. There's often not much in it. What other data can I get from video performance? I'm just looking at my phone here. Yeah. In the first week, my videos usually get between 171,000 and 500,000 views. So this one's coming in about the same as usual, 381,000. Not bad. Gained 1,000 subscribers from it. Hell yeah. Okay, cool. Traffic source, overwhelmingly YouTube recommendations. Nice, cool. Most of which are not subscribers. Interesting. Yeah, subscribers like increasingly don't mean anything on YouTube anymore. We're becoming more and more like TikTok. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, not bad. Not bad on the numbers front. I knew that it wouldn't set the world on fire. I knew that it would kind of be sort of middle or bottom of the road because it is a niche topic and because it is so very long and detailed and challenging to watch. So it's about what I expected to do. You know, I'm pretty happy with that. If we break 100,000 views opening weekend, then I'm usually pretty happy. Like 380,000 views in a week. Okay, not bad, not bad. Especially, you know, you know, everything that went down last August on YouTube when everything just sort of blew up and everyone's views tanked. We're in a new world. You know, there's a time when I would have gone, oh, you know, 380,000 views are hardly worth bothering. But I just think in the new world of YouTube, that's actually pretty solid. I'll take that. That's unfortunate to hear regarding the YouTube subscribers. They're not really like worth anything anymore? Yeah, I mean, it's a very different world now. It's a very different world. If you subscribe to a YouTube channel, there is no guarantee that YouTube will show you that person's videos. Also, as I was reminded recently, not that many people actually know how YouTube subscriptions work. Like, if you subscribe to a channel and click the bell, YouTube's not gonna like grab you by the collar and show you their videos. A lot of people think that if you subscribe to a YouTube channel, the videos will show up on your homepage, but that's not true. There is actually a dedicated subscriptions feed that you have to go into, and a lot of people just like straight up don't know that's there. So if you subscribe to a YouTube channel, there's no guarantee YouTube will show you those videos. And to be honest, if you watch a YouTube video from a channel that you're not subscribed to, and you watch it all the way through, and you interact with it, and you like engage with it, and so on, YouTube's probably going to show you more videos from that channel anyway. So yeah, we're becoming quite like TikTok in that regard. YouTube subscribers don't really mean much anymore, except insofar as you can basically describe it in pitch meetings, or you know, talk to producers or other people, be like, this is a rough size of my audience. But yeah, especially with channels that have been around a long time, like mine have, the number is increasingly not worth all that much, you know? Yeah. The subscription feed has gotten so much worse recently, says Orbital Sites. Yeah, to be honest, I don't think I've ever used mine. I am subscribed to a bunch of YouTube channels, but most of the time I just like remember that they have, I just remember the channels that I like, and I'll just be like, oh, they got a new video, oh, they do, I'll watch that, you know? Sometimes YouTube will be like, hey, do you want to watch this? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. But like most of the time I just like remember what creators I like. Or it's my friends. I'll just be like, oh, it's like Mia made a new video recently. Oh yeah, she has. Yeah, cool. I'll check it out. Like, it's just my subscription feed is in here, you know? And I imagine for many people it's probably the same. Have you LARPed before, says Enit Val. Well, I mean, when I pretend to be a character, I get paid for it, darling. So, no, I'm pulling your leg. But also, I'm not. That's very true. No, I've never LARPed. I'm a professional actor. I don't really feel the need to. It's kind of a busman's holiday for me, isn't it? Are you content with your performance in Blink so far, says Syray. I mean, I'd hope so, because the run's over. And yes, I was. I really enjoyed doing Blink, actually. It was a really, really good experience. I think I got a lot out of it as an actor. It was really, really fun. I mean, not to turn this into the Blink post-mortem, but yeah, it was a really good time. Great reviews. Audiences loved it. I think we very faithfully executed Simon's vision, and I think it was very valuable too. So yeah, I had a great time, and like so many of you came to see Blink as well. It was so nice to meet people by the stage door and hear about their journeys, and yeah, it was a really, really nice time. Shouldn't you change the topics you're talking about in your videos, says Tommy Rendo. Why? I'm not in this for the money, man. I'm in it for the art. And I mean that entirely seriously. So I will continue to talk about whatever I want. Thank you, TG Sparrow says, I was really uncomfortable when we were getting our diagnosis in Norway. You helped me realize why. Thank you. Thank you very much. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Are you going to do a Blink post-mortem? I could do, but I probably don't have time, because I'm going to be going away in a bit, very soon actually, so I may not have time. This is like my last night off before a bunch of stuff needs to happen, so yeah. Anyway, that's the numbers and the analytics section. Now let's do a quick Transphobia watch. Dun 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 dun! Transphobia watch. How much transphobia was there in the comments of this video? Surprisingly little. Not all that much. Not all that much. There was a little bit. There was some, obviously. A lot of just like general queerphobia too. But thank you for that super chat. But overall, it was pretty good actually. Thank you, Dinosaur Victrola says, I see everyone as being deserving of dignity. This video leaves me feeling that we're different species. Yeah, I mean, it was tough to research and tough to go over. Like I said in the video, I can't speak to the intentions of the people I mentioned, and I'm not here to judge them on their intentions, only the effects of their actions. More on that in a bit. Alice Elk Clark says, thanks for showcasing a bit of the joy I didn't think was possible. Oh, I'm glad. Thank you so much. Are you going to do a video on the new trans bill in India, says Ahmed Zayan Habib? No, probably not. That's not to be callous about it, but just this channel is not about only trans issues, and it's also not about trans news. I think there are plenty of outlets if you want that. Yeah, plenty of other places you can go for kind of up-to-the-minute trans news and transgender reactions. That's not what PhilosophyTube is. I'm not interested in making that kind of content, though, as I say, again, not to undermine the importance of it. Talia Bat's probably your best person for analysis on that, just off the top of my head, you know. She'd know how to do it. Yeah, the transphobia underneath the video, not all that bad. As I said, a lot of general queerphobia. A lot of people just being like, you know, conversion therapy should remain legal. Also, some people who are like, oh, you know, I support your bodily autonomy like 50%, or like I agree with you in theory, but I do think that, you know, I do think that the right approach is, square brackets, you being a second-class citizen because of the way that you were born. I count that as transphobia, and I do mute people and ban people from the channel for that, I'm afraid. If people are just like, oh, you know, I think that you should be treated like a second-class citizen until you're 18, and then you should be equal, I'm just like, no, get out. Never speak to me again. Bodily autonomy is for everyone. And similarly, people are like, oh, you know, I think you should have to, like, explain to one psychiatrist how you masturbate before you can be allowed to control your own body, but not two. And I'm just like, no, get out. If you don't believe in the freedom and equality of people like me, then I don't want to hear from you, I'm afraid. Get out. 1998 says, the video really moved me. I loved the wish list and the action items. Yeah, so I read a fabulous book as part of the research, which was pretty dense, but it was just called, like, Ban and Conversion Therapy, Legal and Policy Perspectives. And it was a collection of essays by legal and political experts on, like, how to actually write and construct a legislative ban on conversion practices. And I found that to be incredibly useful. And so that's just basically what that whole section of the video is just me being like, hey, here's how we can actually do it. Because it is possible. It is possible to do. These problems are very, very bad, and yes, the video gets grim in places, but these problems are not insurmountable. There are actual policy things that we can fight for that would help, and as I say in the video, a lot of it can begin locally. Like, if you work for an NHS trust or a university or any kind of public body, you can start the ball rolling on this, and you can start small, in particular by excluding groups who promote conversion practices. Getting that as a policy, I think that's a good way to go. Yeah. U1F98A says, even if we had informed consent, that may not be the end of the story. Yes, you're right. Something I've never had the opportunity to talk about on the channel before is that there's informed consent and informed consent, and some things say they are informed consent and are not. This is a documented problem in trans healthcare, but I think informed consent is certainly very good as like a slogan because everyone understands what it means. It centers bodily autonomy. So when I can push for informed consent and accountability is the kind of the headline that I can put out there for policymakers and people. So, but yeah, you're right. There's more to say after that. So grateful for your video. I want to see the tide turn, says Ice Boo. So do I. We will live to see it. I guess something else that's interesting is I got quite a few messages from people and comments from people under the video that I won't show for the sake of their privacy and also for legal reasons. But you remember that section in the middle where I mention a lot of names and a lot of organizations? I did get quite a few messages from people saying, I used to be a patient of that person. And yes, what they did to me was conversion practices. So that was very interesting. I have saved all those comments in a little folder, just in case. Just in case any of those people, come knocking and say, how dare you insinuate this about me, I can say, well, first of all, I very explicitly did not insinuate anything about anyone or ascribe motive to anyone, and very explicitly said this may not be conversion practices. But I also have... Oh, someone's just sent me another super chat as well. I'll get to that in a second. But I also have a folder full of screenshots of people saying that some of the names that I mentioned are definitely conversion therapists and can bear witness to that. So just going to be saving those. Are you ever going to go into depth about Peter Thiel, the Christian evangelist, rapture, antichrist stuff? Asks subject 5577. Probably not. Maybe. I thought about doing an episode on Peter Thiel, but I think that belongs in Philosophy Tube Season 3, and as I will discuss later on, I'm planning to move now into Philosophy Tube Season 4. So I think QAnon Anonymous would be a great source on that. They've done a lot of coverage on that. So yeah, I think there's other places to go to. Excuse me, I'm still sleeping another night. Excuse me. I think there'll be other places to go to if that's the kind of analysis you want. Sounds like a class action lawsuit against conversion practices as Ashbringer of law. Oh, yeah, maybe. If I lived in a country where class action lawsuits exist, which I don't. They don't exist in England, sadly. Or not in the same way. But yeah. Yeah. So I got a lot of messages from people saying that they have been treated by some of the names I mentioned. And had very negative experiences. I also got quite a few messages from people who work in the NHS, who were at the kind of lower and middle level, who were horrified by what they learned and horrified to find out what the NHS is doing, and asking what they thought they could do about it. I don't want to tell anyone what to do, and I'm by no means an expert, but it occurred to me that bringing pressure on the NHS through unions, nursing unions, the BMA, other unions like that could be a way to go. I think, and underlining these two core demands are informed consent and accountability. I think demanding the resignation of certain senior high-level NHS executives who've been quoted in the newspapers recently might be a way to go. Just getting it publicly out there that we want these people gone, and held accountable for the pain and suffering that they've caused. I think that could be a way to go. That's just my opinion, of course. You being on the ground, rather, not in the ground, I hope. You being on the ground might know better what to do. Drew Design says, hi Abby, my wife and I briefly met you at the press night of Blink. Just wanted to reiterate how lovely it was to chat and how great the play was. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Thank you, and I'm glad you enjoyed the play as well. That's really kind. Funky Monkey says, have you considered releasing a battle pass for the new season? Now, are you making a joke about Fortnite, or are you making a joke about the fact that Finster refers to their OnlyFans page as the battle pass? Is that... It's like an OnlyFans thing. I'm not releasing an OnlyFans. No. No shade on it. It's just... You don't want to see that. You don't want to. Maybe you do. I shouldn't do myself down like that. Maybe you do. Maybe you should. Maybe you would pay for it, and you should pay for it. But I'm not going to because it's not my brand. But thank you. Hutski TV, thank you for that super chat as well. Says, you're an icon. I want to start the medical part of my transition soon. Not thrilled about how hard it's been to access. Well, hey, I feel you there, but congratulations anyway. Congratulations and best of. The first time hearing of it, says Funny Monkey, didn't know Battle Pass was a euphemism for OnlyFans. Well, it is in some circles. I think Jude started that. Well, they told me that they did. And I believe it. Creative little motherfucker. I can't afford OnlyFans. I'd have to start my own OnlyFans to afford OnlyFans, says the denim chicken in chat. That's really funny. That's really funny. That's such a kind of like, I sold my hair to buy you a comb. Oh, but I sold my comb. Like, I got an OnlyFans thing to subscribe to your OnlyFans, but to give you money so you'd subscribe to my OnlyFans. That's just like the transgender community, isn't it? Passing the same £5 back and forth all the time, subscribing to each other's OnlyFans. Heck yeah. Fun. I sold my car to buy gas. Yeah, absolutely. How are you differentiating between season 3 and season 4, says Ennett Val. We'll get to that later. We'll get to that. I've got a whole section of this live stream I want to do where I talk about what's going to come next. So, yeah. But we will get to that. Someone in chat claims to be a former patient of Anastasis Spiliadis. Did you say he coined the term gender exploratory therapy? I did say that. I believe that to be the case. That is, I came across that in my research. I apologize if that is not the case. But I was a former patient of his and found him unprofessional, says Emerald Daisy. Yes, a few former patients of his, or people claiming to be, I should say, did reach out after this video, and the opinions were not positive. But hey-ho. We will get to the delineation of Philosophy Tube seasons, don't worry. First, I would love to finish talking about this episode and show you some of the comments, starting with Lazar1, who asked why I didn't bring up conversion practices performed on neurodivergent people, and in particular ABA, which, let me just make sure I... Applied Behavior Analysis. I think that's what the acronym stands for, which is apparently sometimes performed on neurodivergent, in particular autistic people. So this was a term and an acronym that I encountered very briefly in my research. And there were a few people, not just... I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong... I'm on the wrong... We'll get to that later. Not just Lazar1, but also Fairy Cat asked why I didn't talk about that. Yeah, it came up very briefly in the research that I conducted, but most of the historical sources that I found didn't mention it. I think that may have been an oversight on my part, and possibly on the part of my sources, because as Fairy Cat points out, it was ABA and other forms of abusive quote-unquote conversion performed on autistic people were sometimes done by the same people, and there's definitely a conceptual of analysis and very possibly a theoretical, as in the realm of theory, overlap there as well. So I think this is a fair criticism, actually, and I think it would have been good had I included that as like maybe a footnote. You know, one of the footnotes I did. That would have been good. So thank you for that. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a fair cop. So thank you for the people who chipped in saying it would have been good to talk about that. That's good constructive criticism. In a similar vein, Fiery John and a few other people like Vanilla Tits said it would have been good to talk about asexuality I'm going to talk about asexuality and conversion practices done on ace people. Yeah, I think that also would have been a good footnote. That is a blind spot for me. I have ace friends, but their experiences with the medical system aren't overly known to me. My research sources also, again, didn't draw a historical link, but that, again, could be my source selection, and there's definitely, like, opportunity for solidarity and conceptual understanding there. So, yeah, it would have been another good footnote. Or maybe something to include on the Christmas wish list section. Say it should include ace people as well. I didn't encounter any sources about how to craft a legislative ban on that. But I remember I was chatting to an ace friend of mine once who said, like, you know, it's really weird how, like, every movie, every song on the radio, every interaction you have with so many people just, like, presumes that you're either fucking or want to. And I was like, oh, damn, you're right. It's like every song on the radio. So that really struck me. But yeah. Thank you to Finvara for that super chat, who says, as a straight American, deeply affected by your well-crafted video, it continues to amaze me the degree to which physical violence has not been the response to abuse. Yeah, as I say in the video, like the British queer community's commitment to non-violence, I think, does us a lot of moral credit. I know it has been discussed, and this is something that I've tried to highlight in meetings with NHS managers, is like, look, there are people openly talking about this, about the possibility of this. I do my best to discourage it whenever people mention it to me, which is infrequently. Yeah. As I pointed out to the NHS, like, as the NHS has become more radicalised and more ideologically committed to denying queer people freedom and control over our own bodies, and as it ignores more of the evidence, in particular as it ignores more of the evidence of harm and death that it has caused, people are being pushed to increasingly desperate means of both survival and redress. And I don't think that's going to go in a good direction. I've watched things get more radicalized on both sides over the last few years. One side, I think, has correctly radicalized itself into a position of wanting control over our own lives. And I have watched NHS managers become increasingly radicalized by the idea that we absolutely must not be allowed our freedom. And if they weren't so ideologically committed to the position that cis people should control us, I think we could make progress. But alas, yeah. Yeah. So Big Fruity had a good comment, said that people who practiced conversion therapy back in the 20th century weren't acting in bad faith. I think that's probably correct. However, I don't care. I don't really care what those people had in their hearts. I don't really care what NHS administrators and people have in their hearts now as they harm and kill people like me. As I say in the video, I can't comment on people's intentions, but I will comment on the results of their actions. And I won't hold people accountable for their intentions, but I do demand that they'll be held accountable for the results of their actions. And, you know, I say in the video that many of the people who practice conversion practices, both historically and now, believed they were acting in their victims' best interests. They really did believe that. However, their mental model of their victims' best interests did not include freedom, did not include allowing those patients to make their own decisions. And they believed that because the victims were queer. That is queerphobia. That is bigotry, no matter how well-informed or well-intentioned it might have been. And so I do damn them for that. I don't really care what their intentions were. I still don't. I care about my freedom and the freedom of people like me. So there you go. Let God judge them on their intentions and the contents of their hearts. I judge them on the contents of the coroner's reports. My GP has been a star, says Hatsky TV. I'm glad to hear it. Jennifer Houghton says, did you get fed up of eating apples after Blink? No, actually, I like apples. They're all Granny Smiths too, so yeah. Yeah. Stoned Possum said that a no-blame culture in healthcare is important because it encourages professionals to admit their mistakes and put them right. I see your point. You know, I see why in theory that's a good idea. Is that going to kick in anytime soon, do you think? Do you think, you know, it's good for them to admit their mistakes and fix them. They're going to, when do we start? You know? It seems like in this case they're not going to. So I wonder, you know, maybe it's not, I'm not saying no, maybe it's a yes and, you know, what has been, can we get a little bit of that? That'd be great, you know? I find it ironic they forced Alan Turing to transition, and now they're forcing detransitions. Yeah, control, isn't it? My being non-binary has been denied because of my trauma/ADHD, so thank you to you and your team for the lovely video as always, for failing to be recognised in some ways while struggling to access care. Well, yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm glad it can help, at least on the understanding level. Hey Non-Anonymous says you look more like the pink lady type. No, I'm a jazz. I love a jazz apple. I'm a jazz apple girly. Blagartha the Great. Oh, this was a great comment. Blagartha the Great said, or made a parallel between conversion practices on queer people and conversion practices, if we can call them that, on First Nations Canadian people in residential schools. That is a great comparison. And that would have been a good footnote or a good see also. Yeah, that would have been really, really nice. Yeah, really good, really good. Thank you for chipping in with that, because that's a really, really good point, I think. There's definitely a lot of parallels there. In particular, like there's a lot of parallels, I think, between like love the sinner, hate the sin, and kill the Indigenous person and save the man, as they used to say. I think there's very, very, very similar structures there. Isomorphic, they have the same shape. Finvara says a lot of folks say no blame when what they mean is no accountability. Yes, I think I agree with you. Yeah. You know, I think you can punish someone without blaming them. I don't blame people for their mistakes, but I do think that the administrators who have presided over a system of mass suffering and death need to be removed from their jobs. You know, I don't really care how they feel about that. I don't really care how I feel about that. But I do want my freedom, and I do want those people gone. Or at the very least, unable to make any decisions about anyone's healthcare ever again. And I don't think that's unreasonable. Yeah, the contents of their hearts are between them and God. But their ass belongs to me! Oh, this was a provocative comment. A critical one, but good, I think. Jamie Pandaman basically asked, why did I give so many people in the video the benefit of the doubt? Why did I say, well, you know, maybe they don't believe this, maybe they don't know? Why was I, in a word, why was I kind of as compassionate to them as I was? Partly that's for legal reasons, like I said earlier on, in that bit of the stream when we talked about working with a defamation lawyer. And partly because that is the Philosophy Tube way. I made a promise when I started the show that I would never use my platform to single anyone out and make them feel bad. I hope I've mostly stuck to that, even in cases where I know that were it up to these people, they would harm me, and they would even, you know, deprive me of my liberty and the means with which I live, my medicine. You know, those things aren't identical, but you know what I mean. Because I believe in the power of reason, or at least I do on Philosophy Tube. Because Philosophy Tube is dedicated to Athena first and foremost, and Dionysus, and of course Venus. You know, my three mums. But it is a project of Athena, and so I do believe in reason and in justice, and in argument, and in words, and in truth. And so it's because I hold myself to those values when I make the show that I shaped it with, that I did. That's not to say everyone has to, or everyone should do that, diversity of tactics and all that. But kindness and compassion and reason and understanding are the Philosophy Tube way. It's not just a show, it's an orientation towards education. And it's not the only one, as I say. It's an ideal. And so, yeah, that's why. Tyber Linda says we need more trans people talking to decision makers in the NHS and getting them to actually look you in the eye and explain their decisions. I mean, I've tried it, and other people have tried it. You know, people like Claire Prosher tried it for years and just resigned after saying they don't listen to us. I mean, people have been, as I have documented through my work, people have replied endlessly in consultations to the NHS, have endlessly explained. They are aware of our perspective. They are aware that we want an informed consent system, and they've been aware for decades. They refused. I had an email a while ago from someone very, very high up in the NHS who said in the wake of the Levy report, they said, we're not going to have an informed consent system in the UK, so you may as well come on our side and help us with what we're doing. And I replied and I said, we will have an informed consent system in the UK. It's just a question of whether we have to wait for you to retire first or not. And I was as blunt about it as that. You know, I was like, we will have our freedom. We will. It's just a question of how long we have to wait for it. And you know, what means we have to adopt in order to get there. So they are aware. They are aware. They have talked to trans people. They are aware that we don't trust them. They are aware that we consider what they are doing to be morally wrong. And I won't say they don't care, because that's attributing motive. Their actions do not reflect our perspective. Our perspectives don't govern their actions. We are not in charge of the system. Let me put it that way. And that's what needs to be changed. And finally, No Fate and Wholesome HW said that they considered this video to be my best work yet, a magnum opus, which is very, very sweet. That's very kind. I think it's definitely a very, very strong one, and I think it's I think I'm proud of it, as I say. I think it's a really strong example of this format, and I think it is a strong conclusion to Philosophy Tube Season 3. So now let's talk about that. So Season 1 of Philosophy Tube is everything from the very beginning of the channel to either my episode on Hegel or my episode that's just called Elon Musk. I like Hegel's kind of like the pilot, and then Elon Musk, that video is when Season 2 officially begins. Season 2 is everything from then until work or the 5 jobs I had before YouTube. Season 3 was everything from identity, my coming out, to this. And I think, I mean, I won't give you all my thoughts on this, but it's something I've been batting around for a long time. I think the YouTube landscape is changing. I think my life is changing. And I think the days of massive, flashy, socially conscious video essays of the kind that I make are coming to an end for structural reasons that are partly to do with my life, partly to do with the channel's finances, and partly to do with the way YouTube is changing. I also, to be blunt with you, I think there are other YouTubers coming up now who can do what I've been doing better than me. You know, I look at somebody like Lily Alexander, who's Nebula Family. Lily has made what I would consider to be some of the best, and in fact the best video essay in the world. I think Lily's episode, Notes on Vanishing, is the best video essay that's ever been made, certainly than I've seen. I think it's fantastic. And so I think there's other people coming up who are doing it better than me, who are doing it in a new way. And I wanna change. Thank you, Brittany Gill, for that super chat. Informed consent works. I picked Abigail as my middle name. Oh my gosh, I hope I don't get cancelled. That'll be awkward. I'm not planning on it. And so I'm also like, as of this year, Philosophy Tube is 13 years old. And I'm I'm getting a little older too, you know. These days of editing for 15 hours a day and doing lots and lots of days on set are hard. I'm starting to feel it too. And I'm ready for like a creative change. You know, I've been doing Philosophy Tube 13 years. And I am ready to try something new with it. So I have some plans for Philosophy Tube Season 4. There is going to be a Philosophy Tube Season 4. So what's going to happen over the next few months is I'm going to take a little bit of time off to rest, to refresh myself creatively. There's a couple of other creative projects that I want to lock in on. I've written a feature that's now in a feature film that's in development, which is getting pretty exciting now. So I want to take a little bit of time to lock in on that and on acting. I'm expanding my team on the acting end. So I'm going to take a little bit of time off to rest, a little bit of time to focus on other creative projects. Fear not, I have already begun designing Philosophy Tube Season 4. I don't have a firm idea of what it's going to be, but I'm also chatting with Nebula and with other creators about how the creative landscape is changing. And I guess, so here's the thing. Here's what was different about this video on conversion practices. Every time we have ever filmed an episode of Philosophy Tube in 13 years, at the time of filming, I have always known what the next one is going to be. And I have already started researching it. And so, this was the first time I was like, I've always known where the next handhold is. This time was the first time I was like, I'm not going to reach for it. I'm going to finish filming this one, I'm going to edit it, I'm going to publish it, and all that time I'm not going to know what the next thing is. And I'm just going to let it rest, let it be. And I found that already, as soon as I did that, I have already started to think about, what do I want the next season to be? What do I want to make next? What kinds of things do I want to make next? Now that I'm not just being pushed along by inertia. And so, yeah. I'm already excited. I was like, I've got a document on my phone where I'm just like designing Philosophy Tube Season 4. So, and of course, in the middle of all of this, House of the Dragon Season 3 is going to come out. And that might, who knows, because it's acting, and who knows what the acting world is going to be like. That might be a big deal, or it might not. I'm going to try and make it a big deal. And I'm pushing on the publicity end to make it a big deal, but who knows. Tom Nicholas's recent work is a really good example of how to pivot in the current environment, in my opinion, says Drew Design. Yes, absolutely. And I think also, I was really inspired by Tom Scott's new series. Tom Scott, if you weren't aware, is back. He has a new series on Nebula. I was at the launch party with him the other night and all the Nebula crew and his crew. And that really inspired me. That really got the wheels turning. And I was like, oh, what can I do that's cool? What can I make next? So I'm going to continue having chats with Nebula and with, various strategy people. I think as well, yeah, I can be honest with you about this. Over the pandemic and like the year following the pandemic, that was a really strong time in the creator economy for me and quite a few other creators. And since then, the creator economy on the financial side, for everybody, not just me, has slipped a bit, Financially, the channel's in a good place, and like for the most part, it pays for itself. But I think, especially with this thing that happened back in August, there's a rebalancing going on. And so I need to think about, okay, what adjustments can I make to the way Philosophy Tube is produced? As a producer, looking at my balance sheet and looking at what I want to achieve and what are the resources I have available to me, do I need to make any changes? And I'm already finding ways to go, oh, actually, I can do this differently. Thank you very much for that super chat. Says, don't turn into H-Bomber guy, says Anselin. No, don't worry. I don't think so, no. Subject 5577 says, would you consider releasing all your content for purchase in a DRM-free downloadable format? Maybe. I don't... like a DVD or something? I don't know, maybe. it's not high on my list of priorities right now. Anyway, I think like YouTube and Nebula are probably like pretty solid long-term strategies, and I have hard drives and backups of it. So, yeah. I'm not planning on becoming. I'm not planning on becoming H-bomb. Don't worry. He's kind of going the opposite way. Like he's making fewer videos and bigger. That's not what I'm considering. So yeah, I have some plans for what I want Philosophy Tube Season 4 to be. The other thing, and I mentioned this on the Patreon, is that I'm not going to say what this is, but I need to go away for a little while, and I need to do something that is potentially a big deal in my life. It's going to take some time. There are some risks involved, but there is something risky and important and potentially very worthwhile that I need to go and do that's going to take some time. So I'm going away very soon to go and do that. I'm a little bit nervous about it, but it's something I've wanted to do for a long time. So I'm going to go and I'm going to take care of that. That's going to be cool. So yeah. And I'm happy that this episode of Conversion Practices is the capstone of Philosophy Tube Season 3. This is the big woke video essay with all the kind of flashy bells and whistles on it. And I'm like, yeah, this is a really solid example of like what this format can be. And I could make a couple more in this format. I've got a few ideas that I've been toying around, but then I'm like, no, now's the time to try something else, try something new. Yeah. Hell yeah. And to be honest, like I'm not even really stepping away from philosophy. I'm not actually going away from Philosophy Tube because I'm just going to be researching Season 4 and writing it the whole time. So yeah, that's fun. So yeah, I'm gonna take a creative refresh, and come back probably later in this year, kind of autumn winter time, I think. So yeah. I'm excited about it. Philosophy Tube Season 4. This is the announcement for Season 4. It's gonna be good. The other thing I'm gonna do in the middle of all this is I'm gonna also take a holiday, which I haven't taken in a while. I'm gonna get some scuba diving in. I think I know where I'm gonna go. It's gonna be good. It's a year of investing in myself. I spoke to Dave, the CEO of Nebula, the other night, and I was asking him about like my plans for this year, and because Dave's somebody I trust a lot. We're good friends, and he's also, we have a business connection too. And I was telling him about my plans for this year, and he was like, "You got to invest in yourself. You got to invest in yourself. What do you want? What do you want out of life? What do you really want?" I told him what I really want, and he was like, "Sounds like your plans are going to take you closer to that." And I'm like, "I hope so. Hell yeah." So yeah, fun times. The other thing that's coming up, which is going to be dropping in the middle of all of this, in the middle of the summer, is, wrong window, is, I'm going to have to do some research. Well, is House of the Dragon Season 3. Finally, I can say I'm in it. House of the Dragon Season 3 drops in June. Sharako Lohar, the Queen of the Pirates, is back. And I will be kicking ass. This is the big action role that I was filming all last year and that I was training for, that I got in shape for. Obviously, I can't tell you what it's going to involve, but it is amazing. And it is epic. And obviously me and my acting team, we hope that this leads to more roles and more cool things. Fingers crossed it does. But yeah. So the other night, HBO Max launched in the UK and Ireland. Previously, you've only been able to watch Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon on Sky and Now TV. Now you'll be able to see it on HBO Max. And so they invited me and a bunch of the other casts of lots of HBO shows, not just House of the Dragon. You know, there was lots of people there. We went down to a huge party in London and walked. It wasn't a red carpet; it was a grey carpet. But yeah, House of the Dragon season 3, baby! Finally, I'm allowed to announce that I'm in it. So I got dolled up in this incredible outfit, and Nikki Bugs, who's the makeup artist for Philosophy Tube, the show, she's my makeup artist for everything, really. She helped me, you know, look my best. And Timothy David colored my hair. And there's me and Dave. There's me and Dave, the CEO of Nebula, on the red carpet. Yeah. And I am wearing the Nebula necklace, of course. The Nebula Star necklace. Which Dave gave me as a gift, actually. Very, very sweet of him. He's such a lovely man. Look at him. He's so handsome. So handsome in his special jacket. He was so proud of the jacket. So yeah, we went down and we walked the red carpet. And I need to resize this now. And there's my red carpet look. You may recognize that dress from the episode we did on birth rates when I was the goddess of ignorance. Same dress, just I reused it. But yeah, yeah. This is my red carpet look, and I got to flex my muscles. Oh, so good. Dave got to go as well. Yes, so super lucky. Dave and a few of his team were in London for another thing that I can't announce, but he came to see Blink, and then I was like, oh, I have a +1 to like the HBO party. Do you want to go to the HBO party? Like, do you want to meet the like executive producers of House of the Dragon and like the stars and everyone? And he was just like, fuck yeah. So we went and we had an amazing time, a lovely, lovely time. It was so nice to see the cast again after a few months, and so lovely to see the producers who were so kind to me, and so thrilled about what we have coming this season. Yeah, it was a beautiful time. It was such a good night. Like, HBO, they can throw a party, man. It was a really nice event. Yeah, it was a wonderful, wonderful evening. And it was so, and everyone, I haven't seen the finished footage yet. I've seen some footage with like half finished special effects, but God, it looks amazing. It looks so cool, and I am so excited and cannot wait for you guys to see me fight and kick ass. It's gonna be amazing. And then, yeah, so we went down and we had this cool party, me and Dave. This is my red carpet look. There you go, baby. I had such a fun time. Do you film it in Ireland? Says Claire Gack. No, my scenes at least were filmed in the UK. I know they do. They film a little bit in Wales, and I think there's a unit that go out to Europe somewhere, maybe like Spain or something. I can't remember yet. But yeah, bam, there you go, baby. I was wearing So let me just go previous. So in real life, Dave is actually 3 inches taller than me, but underneath this dress, I'm wearing platform boots that make me 7 feet tall. So you remember, I look at this and I have the armor and I have the nails, and I am also 7 feet tall. And so many people on the night were just like, wow. It's like, yeah, it was so good. It was so much fun. So yeah, this drops in June. And that's right in the middle of my, you know, the scary thing that I'm doing. It's gonna be sick. I'm excited to kind of lock in on that. Yeah. Here's another one. You get to see Nikki's lovely makeup, and my new blonde hair, courtesy of Timothy David. God, it was a good night. It was so much fun. So much fun. I love wearing armor on a red carpet. It's a great time. And that's all. That's all of them. So yeah, that was really, really cool. Where did you get those boots? From a shoemaker called Demonia. I got them through Doll's Kill. Yeah. And you have steel claws too. Yeah, I had oh, I can show them to you. These were made by Leah Zatova. Let me get you on the full screen here. These were made by Leah Zatova, who also made the nails for my Mother Nature look. Do you remember the ones with the flowers on them? So she made these chrome nails specifically for the red carpet, which was really kind of a yeah, it was a wonderful time. Really, really wonderful. Nothing says lesbian like armor on the red carpet. Yeah. Can you bring a sword onto the red carpet or only armor? You can't. Swords in the UK, like knives over a certain length, are not allowed. Otherwise, I would. Also, I feel like that would have been a bit much. Like the Magneto cape is good fun, as it is. I don't need a sword as well. You know, that's gonna be awkward at the coat check, right? The Nebula Star necklace goes so well with the dress. Thank you. Yeah. I'm glad. You know, Dave gave that to me as a gift, and I when Dave is like around, and when he's being my +1, I like to wear that. I mean, I said this to him, and I said, "There's nobody I'd rather have with me at an event like this." Like, I don't talk about Dave much, but like on streams and in public. But I'm happy to go on record and say he's a real sweetheart, and like, I love him to bits. He's so wonderful. And he's been so wonderful to me as well. Yeah. Very, very fun time. And I'm so proud of my muscles. I trained so hard for the action sequences. Like boxing lessons, sword fighting lessons, and then just hit the gym so much. And then when I knew the red carpet was coming, I trained, and like for the few days before, like made sure my body was ready for these photos, and like, oh, we're just so happy. Is there a blooper reel from the episode featuring the chick? And no, because she was so nice. She was so well behaved. Who's the nicest member of the House of the Dragon cast? Says Syrai3232. Honestly, like everyone is so lovely on that show, and I don't just mean the cast. I mean like everyone from the executive producers on down. I've never had a problem with anyone. Everyone has been so lovely and kind and welcoming as well, and complimentary. Like just yeah, being at that party and have people like Ryan. Like there was a moment where like. At the end of the night, like Ryan Condal, you know, Mr. House of the Dragon, was like, "You did great, Abigail. I'm so proud of you." I was like, you know, like Sarah Hess. I've said this in interviews and stuff, but Sarah Hess is wonderful, and like Davy Cox, beautiful. You know, I've spent time. I'm not going to spoil which members of the cast I've spent time with on set, but you know, I did scenes in season 2 with Jefferson Hall. Lovely guy, great fun to hang out with. Everyone in the whole cast is so good. And I did get a chance to chat with Emma very briefly at the party as well the other night, and like they are just amazing. They make it look easy. Yeah. Ah, fantastic. You need a red carpet outside the UK, says Joris Samarian. I've done a bunch. I've done red carpets in LA and New York, and yeah. We did a red carpet in LA for Dex, remember? And Identities. Yeah. But yeah, everyone on House of the Dragon is amazing. Just a fantastic bunch of people. So I'm proud to be part of that show. Anyway. Those are the end of my notes. I mean, unless you want to hear about what I've been reading lately, I usually do like an Abby's book corner on these streams. So super quick, I've been reading Ignorance Unmasked, Essays on Agnotology, which is the study of ignorance. It's like a non-fiction. It's pretty good. I really enjoy agnotology as a field. Some of the essays are stronger than others. I won't say which, but like some of them are really strong and some of them are fine. But thought-provoking, interesting. If you like agnotology, check it out. The other thing I've been reading is, of course, Absolute Wonder Woman. I'm still reading every issue. I have a new issue in the other room right now, which I'm going to go and read as soon as I finish the stream, which I'm really excited about. Yeah, God, I can't wait to read that. Actually, I love that. And then I've also been reading Persona by Aoife Joyce Clemens, which I finished a couple of weeks ago, and which was very kindly a gift from Aoife to welcome me into, as she called it, team castration, because you may be aware there is a series of movies called Castration Movie, made by Canadian director Louise Ward. I talked about them on the show before. They're kind of like cult hit trans movies. They are amazing. Castration Movie 1 is out. Castration Movie 2 is out. Castration Movie 3 is coming soon. And I can also reveal that I'm in that. I'm in Castration Movie 3 briefly. And then maybe more to come. So yeah, Aoife's also in it. And she wrote this, and she gave me a free copy as a welcome to the team. It's really, really good, the book. I think it's Aoife's first novel, I think. It's really fantastic. I really like my trans femme horror. I'm like a fan of Gretchen Falcon Martin and Alison Rumfitt as well. And so it's really creepy. Really, really creepy. And that it presents you with this very weird scenario. And then I found that, well, it's not that much of a spoiler if I say that, like, a woman who's a lonely shut-in becomes convinced that there is a woman living across from her in the building opposite who is her doppelganger. And what Aoife is really, really effective at doing is gradually running down the list of explanations for this and crossing them off one by one and be like, okay, well, is it someone who looks like her? No, there are reasons why it is definitely an exact duplicate of her. It's like, okay, is it a long-lost twin? No, can't be a twin. Is it a hallucination? No, doesn't seem to be. Can't be a hallucination, actually. Is it, is there some kind of time travel thing going on? No, can't be that either. And she runs down the list, and I'm just like, what is that? What is going on? Like, what is the mystery? It's so compelling and gripping and like creepy. Not like visceral horror, but just like, what is this? And so I really liked it. Highly recommend if you like horror, and if you like queer horror in particular. Very much worth checking out. Highly recommend it. Yeah, I found it gripping. I was reading it late at night, like, oh my god, I gotta stop reading this, but I can't. And also I found that some of the descriptions of the central character, who is a lonely shut-in, really helped me with Blink and creating the character of Sophie on Blink, who is also a lonely shut-in. They're not quite to the same extremes. So yeah, I found it to be very artistically rewarding, as a creator and as an audience member. I found it to be really, really good. So highly recommend. Check it out. Persona by Aoife Joyce Clemens. 2 thumbs way up. So that's Abby's book corner. Shall we hang out for another 10 minutes? And I'll take questions from the chat and answer any questions you have. And then I will sign off and go and have a cup of tea and read my comic book and then go to bed. I'm still a little bit tired from the party the other night. We stayed up late. It was great. It was really, really good. So why don't we hang out for another 10 minutes? If you've got any questions, stick them in the chat and I will answer them. Are there any other queer horror books you'd recommend? Asks Dabez in chat. Manhunt by Gretchen Falcon Martin's really good. Cuckoo by Gretchen Falcon Martin's really good. Brainworms by Alison Rumfitt is really good. Tell Me I'm Worthless by Alison Rumfitt is really good. I think I'm missing another Gretchen one. But yeah. Gretchen's new one, Black Flame. It's very solid. Very, very thought-provoking and very suited to our times. Any other comic books you like? I do like Wonder Woman Historia. That's a good one. I've just ordered... man, what was the name of the comic that I just ordered off the recommendation of a friend of mine? Lumberjanes. I've just ordered the first book of Lumberjanes. It was recommended to me. Do I read any manga? Very occasionally, but I have a friend who's very into manga, and I'm going to be seeing her soon. So I'm going to get her recommendations. She doesn't know I'm going to see her soon, but I am. So yeah, I'm going to get her manga recommendations. Hell Followed After Us as well is good queer horror. That's very, very visceral. If you like your blood and guts, check that out. I forget the name of the author of that. Oh, Leech. Oh, I can't believe I forgot this. Leech by Hiron Ennis. Very good horror novel. Really, really good. I did the audiobook for it a few years ago. I won't spoil it, because there's an amazing fucking reveal. Which, if you enjoyed my videos on healthcare, you will really enjoy what gets revealed about the character who's a doctor. Because it's one of the coolest ideas I think I've ever had. Yeah. Abby, would you have any advice for finding or carving out a queer community? I'm a YouTuber, babes. I don't know how to do stuff IRL. I'm talking to you right now through screens. I have no clue. To be honest, I'm not really in the queer community all that much, because when I was thinking of coming out, I was already recognizable enough in the queer community that my going to any queer spaces became work, because I got recognized. And it's like, okay, well, I'm on now. I'm like, I have to be presenter mode and listen to people tell me about their problems or their, whatever. And so, yeah, I'm not really in the queer community all that much. I have my friends, and I have, people that I trust and hang out with. But as for the mainstream queer community, the capital Q, capital C queer community, I'm not that really in it. I found that like the more corporate end of the queer community, you kind of like awards and magazines and that kind of thing. I find that most of the time I don't enjoy those all that much. It's not really my bag. And so, yeah, I'm not really in it. I'd be the wrong person to ask. Did you know Gretchen Felker Martin wrote some Harley Quinn comics and other DC comics? Yeah, I did. I thought it was Red Hood. She wrote. I remember what happened with that. But yeah. Gretchen and I are friends. We talk. Yeah. Yeah. Leech is so good, and your voice work is phenomenal. Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Can you sing? Asks Every Fairy Dies. Well enough for my own people, but not well enough. Not well enough to be in musicals. Let me put it that way. But yeah, I can give it a go. Vivian is your link to the queer community speedway. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Maybe. Go to queer bars that already exist consistently. Yeah. I've been to a couple queer bars in London. It can be fun. Do you have any plans for a dedicated episode on disability and the disability rights movement? No, not really. As I'm assembling my plans for philosophy, I think that's very much a Philosophy Tube Season 3 idea, and I think in bits and pieces I've already made the best video I could make on that across my videos on healthcare and others. But that sounds like a Season 3 idea to me. Philosophy Tube Season 4. This can be different. Avi right-wing pivot. Avi chud turn. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. Joris Samalan says, I'd love to hear your take on autism, Abby. I feel like you've been circling the topic for a few years now. Again, sounds like a Philosophy Tube Season 3 idea, and I think probably best left to people who are autistic. I think they'll probably be able to do that better than me. So, I think there's other places you can go to for that. Okay, should we have another 5 minutes? And then I need to go and take a little rest. Are you and your team aiming for more action roles? Yes. Yes. Putting it out there. If you could sum up season 4 in 3 words, what would they be? I don't know. I haven't made it yet. It's just in the ideas phase, you know. I just know that I want to do with Philosophy TV season 4. I wanna do something fresh, you know. What else we got? What other questions we got in chat? Hit me up with questions. And we'll take another couple minutes. Once they sort out the production, would you do an episode of Doctor Who? Hey, I'd do more than one episode of Doctor Who if they let me. I should talk to my agent about that. That could be fun. We'll see. We'll see. I'm not sure what's happening on the back end with that. I've heard bits and pieces from Barada and others, but yeah. Is there a work of fiction that really spoke to you recently? Yeah, we just talked about it. Rewind like 7 minutes. Would you be in Doctor Who as a doctor, companion, or the villain? I think I'm a little old to be the companion, don't you think? That'd be fun. I'm not gonna rule it out, you know. I'd be in whatever they'll ever be in, you know. As an actor, I will be in anything. So yeah. So I guess, yeah. I guess let's bring. What would Abby's sonic screwdriver look like if she was the Doctor? Oh, come on, I already have an idea for that. Cram 1032 says, "You look tired. Hope you have a good rest." Well, hey, fuck you. Fuck you. Do you ever feel envy? Says, I'm sorry, that was really harsh, but like, don't say that to women. Yeah, for real, don't say that to women. Even if we are tired, and I am. I've been working hard. I've been up late the last 2 nights, and I still have a hangover. Like, come on. Don't say that to women. Do you ever feel envy? Sometimes. I'm so sorry, says Graham. Not to worry about it. You're okay. I don't think it was meant to be. I don't think it was meant to be the way that I interpreted it. Anyway, with what I'm doing, Blue Sky and Instagram will be the ways to go. Tumblr as well, obviously. Blue Sky, Instagram, and Tumblr. And you know, keep your eye on the news. Keep your eye on the entertainment press. Of course, you'll be able to see me on HBO Max in House of the Dragon Season 3 very soon. Oh, the stream ending music. Oh. Yes, let me turn up the music a bit. So, thank you for joining me on the live stream. Thank you for joining me for Philosophy Tube Season 3. And I will see you very soon for Philosophy Tube Season 4, which I'm excited about. In the meantime, Blue Sky, Tumblr, Instagram, HBO Max, and maybe some other places too. Castration Movie 3 when that comes out. Maybe some other stuff. In the meantime, I'll say I love you guys very much. I'll miss these little live streams when I'm away doing the very scary thing that I have to do. And I hope it works. And I hope I'm safe. There is a risk. Small, but not zero. And just in case, it's been a real pleasure. I'm sure that won't happen, but yeah, just in case. Thank you. I really enjoy this. It has made my life better, and I hope it will continue to. So, good night. Thank you very much. I feel the need to and I will see you soon.